Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show. I am Patrick Daugherty, joined by Mr. Denny Carter, where we are going to break down all the latest NFL news. It's the NFL trade deadline. Dak Prescott is injured. Diontae Johnson not doing a whole lot in his Ravens debut. A lot of injured receivers. Christian McCaffrey coming back this week. Jameson Williams coming back this week. Joe Flacco going back to the bench next week. Will Levis may be coming back this week, Denny. A lot to get to. But, I normally say the date at the beginning of the show. I saved it for a little bit, after getting to some of the news topics, because it's Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. One of the most important dates in American history. Some people have been looking forward to this one for years.
Yeah.
All they've been thinking about. And it's the 2024 NFL trade deadline is, of course, what I'm talking about. And seismic things, goings on, reports from all over the nation coming in all day. Mike Williams traded to Pennsylvania, a very important state in our union.
It is.
Jonathan Mingo traded to where? Cowboys.
Traded to the Cowboys. Yeah. That's going to the state of Texas.
Yeah. So we've been waiting for this, and it's finally here, Denny. And we just cannot wait to break it down for folks.
Like a lot of Americans today, I woke up extra early. I logged on, and I just needed to gather the information, see the mood of the people, see the appetite of what we want as a country, see where Jonathan Mingo can fit into this Dallas offense. Is he behind Jalen Tolbert? Is he ahead of Jalen Tolbert? It's hard to say, right? Where is Pennsylvania? Where does Pennsylvania stand on Mike Williams? Okay, did they want little Mike Williams? Did they want big Mike Williams?
They want regular Mike Williams. Which Mike Williams is this one? I can't ever remember.
Right. What do the people in Philadelphia say? What about in Pittsburgh? What about the exurbs of Pennsylvania? I know I'm just trying to gauge the temperature because, like you said, very important day in our nation's history.
Very, very important. We work for NBC, by the way, a sprawling news operation. They have reporters everywhere. There was several places Mike Williams could be traded. So maybe the Arizona Cardinals needed him for some reason. Maybe the Atlanta Falcons needed him. Maybe the Green Bay Packers needed him. They sent reporters to all these states.
Yeah,
the states that could swing where Mike Williams went. And so thankfully they had someone in Pittsburgh when he arrived.
They had it in Vegas, and seeing the turnout of fans to see if Mike Williams would go to Nevada. It's a good operation. I'm glad we had people on the ground.
Proud to work for NBC. Proud to talk about football and fantasy football, Denny. We'll get to those trades in a minute. But we'll lead with what we always lead with. The Dallas Cowboys, even though they don't matter at all.
No, they don't.
Even though they're God awful. This is a bit not funny. Sorry, I was hoping you'd laugh at one of my whispers.
I thought it was moderately funny.
Even though they've, quote, never been less relevant. No, yeah. I wanted them to be relevant. We were worried coming into the season, though, that the skill core, the supporting cast, just was not deep enough. That has been borne out halfway through the season. Now they're in genuine calamity territory, calamity mode, crisis mode. Because the one thing, there's a lot of things they couldn't have happened that have already happened. The one thing they truly could not have happened was losing their quarterback, Dak Prescott. They now have injured reserve with the hamstring injury. Kind of, I'm joking about an irrelevant franchise, kind of a lot of fallout for this injury, despite the sorry state of the Cowboys right now. CeeDee Lamb also banged up. So there's a lot to get to. I'll try to, if you don't get to all of it, I'll circle back to it. But so with Dak out at least 4 games, things like, is Jake Ferguson still startable? Is Rico Dowdle still startable? He finally seemed like he took control of the backfield. Zeke's going to be back this week. Dak's out. It almost creates another immediate opening for Zeke to walk through. Where does Jonathan Mingo fit into all this? Jalen Tolbert waiver wire dust. Just start talking about the Dallas Cowboys, Denny.
It's hard to see fantasy relevance for anybody except for Ferguson and Lamb. Of course,
Ferguson's been struggling lately to be relevant even with Dak.
He's running a crazy percentage of the routes. He's running 60% of his routes from the slot, which is really strong for a tight end. So and Cooper Rush, remember, is a check down merchant. Okay, this guy is not looking beyond 7 yards downfield. I mean, he's just I could see Ferguson. I think there is a scenario
going nuclear
where Ferguson actually ticks up to a top 5 option weekly with Cooper Rush under center. Now, if the Cowboys are run heavy or whatever, that kind of goes out the window. But, they can't be run heavy, because they're so bad. Bad teams can't be super run heavy usually. So I wouldn't expect that. I don't think you can start Tolbert in any format. Mingo, whatever. I don't know.
What's going on there? We'll get to that in more second. But
and yeah, I mean, just to go through Rico Dowdle's usage in Week 9, he had 12 of the 15 running back carries for the Cowboys. 3 of those 12 went for more than 10 yards, which I found pretty interesting. He ran a route on 60% of the dropbacks and saw 6 targets. There was a very much inflated sort of drop back number for the Cowboys because they drop back on 77% of their plays against Atlanta. So that probably won't hold. But I do think Dowdle is still somewhat usable.
I think he is, but the overall offensive environment was bad enough. It is going to be a lot worse now. Like you said, even though they need to run more than ever, it's going to be hard to run more than ever because they're not going to be moving the ball really through the air. The defense, is totally collapsed. Like the game script, it's just going to be really bad. But yeah, it is disappointing because he had at least Rico Dowdle in Week 9 had 5 carries of at least 9 yards. Mm-hmm. And that was a game where he only got the ball 12 times because game script was negative there. And there was a guy who had his opportunity and was like, I'm not screwing this up. Like it was the best game easily by any Cowboys running back all season, even though 2 weeks before that, Rico actually had more yards from scrimmage than he did in Week 9. And it just seemed like he had put the Zeke 1B role to bed.
Yeah.
But just the quarterback injury now creates a total reset, though, for the offense. I could just see them be like, we were going to move on from Zeke, but now, we really need the run game. We can't put all of it on Rico Dowdle's shoulders. And I could just see it being almost like reset for Rico Dowdle, too, in a very disappointing way.
Yeah, I mean, so Zeke was out because suspended for a game?
Suspended. Our guy is almost out of the league, and apparently he was just skipping meetings and on the reg, and he finally skipped one too many, and they suspended him. And yeah,
great. I wish I had known that when I was drafting my best ball teams in August. Yeah. I don't know.
By the way, if anyone had seen Zeke being bad coming, if only Kyle and I had spent the entire summer yelling at you about it.
He's only been bad since 2018. I think you're exaggerating. I don't know. I don't see Zeke becoming a problem for Dowdle. And hey, you know what? Check down Merchant could be good for the pass catching back as well.
Denny, Rico Dowdle, top 24 back on a weekly basis while Dak Prescott is out.
I think if you're talking about full PPR, I think yes, but just barely.
I think he was just barely there if Dak were healthy. I think without Dak, he's now kind of back and he was in the RB 28 to 34 range before. Now I think he's 24 to 30. He has ticked up ever so slightly. And Jonathan Mingo. I mean, dude, they gave up a 5th round pick or 4th round pick?
4th, yeah.
What?
There was reporting this morning that Mingo was a very polarizing prospect coming out of college in 2023, right? And some teams saw him as a 1st or 2nd rounder. Okay, obviously the Panthers saw him as that because they took him with the 39th overall pick somehow, which is catastrophic. But I mean, really, one of the worst receivers I've ever seen in the NFL. And so apparently the Cowboys, according to this reporting, valued him even more highly than that. So we'll see how that works out. But obviously Jerry is all in now that he's acquired Jonathan Mingo in a lost season, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, to make this trade after Dak got in, it'd been bad enough if Dak were healthy, but at least all right, whatever. Yeah. They love his fit with Dak. And they want a downfield element or something. Dude, you have free will. You
don't have to do this.
Yeah, Dak went on IR yesterday. That was Monday. Today's Tuesday. You don't have to make the trade still. You're allowed to say, "I'm sorry. I thought we could."
They're being buyers at the deadline. They're buyers. Are you kidding? In a utterly lost season, it's over. This team is done. They need to blow up and start from scratch. Maybe just keep CeeDee Lamb and that's it. And Micah Parsons, maybe a couple of those defenders. But
they just extended Dak too. I don't think it's a blow it up when you have Dak, CeeDee, and Micah Parsons. It's not a blow up reset type moment, in my opinion.
I do feel like Jerry hates Dak and really resents him. So they should probably just part ways.
No, it's mutual. they despise each other, but they literally just like re-upped their vows like a month ago. Toxic situation there. And yeah, Jalen Tolbert, waiver wire now, right? He was already kind of probably on a lot of waiver wires anyway.
Yeah. Just to talk about how bad this offense might be, this Dallas offense might be without Dak. They have an implied total this week against Philadelphia of 17 points.
What? Pretty bad. What's the spread here on this game? Eagles. Whatever. I can't find it right now.
Eagles are 7.5 point favorites right now. They started as 1.5 point underdogs.
What?
That's what it says here. But
what? They
started off. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was. Unless I'm misreading it. I'm sorry. No. Okay. Now they are 9 point. They were 7.5 point. Now they're 9 point favorites.
All right. That sounds more legit. By the way, Jonathan Mingo, they gave up more than the teams gave up for DeAndre Hopkins, for Diontae Johnson, and even Mike Williams. And so they've got to be really confident in your evaluation of the player.
Yeah.
Is all I'll say.
That's a galaxy brain if I ever saw one.
So speaking of Mike Williams, he was like the most obvious trade candidate coming into the trade deadline. The rare player. This happens in baseball a lot. But the NFL, there's kind of no player you can just take for granted will get traded unless you're Mike Williams. On the we knew that he was going to be traded, that it had never been more over between him and Aaron Rodgers. Pittsburgh Steelers were just kind of in the situation, too, where they just needed literally anybody. Literally any wide receiver needed to be added to this offense. Like I joked on Twitter, but basically the form you have to fill out is, are you Van Jefferson? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, you get put into the offense in the number 2 receiver
so
spot.
Mean to Van Jefferson.
I know, I'm sorry, Van. Mike Williams is not Van Jefferson. He's now the Steelers' number 2 receiver. Russell Wilson is going to make his 3rd start as Steelers quarterback this weekend. Anything at all here, or is it just all too far gone? Steelers offense too far gone. Mike Williams too far gone.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Williams is complete dust. I mean, that's pretty clear.
Is it?
It's so terribly clear. Yeah. The guy's like the oldest, 28-year-old in history. Okay. I guess he's a good fit for the Russ Moonball. He feels redundant on an offense with George Pickens, but I guess they want this.
Well, no, you got fast George Pickens and slow George Pickens.
I hadn't thought about that. But that's what you have. And so maybe they just want the offense to literally be run, moonball, run, moonball. And
honestly, not a bad design. That's the design that worked for decades in the NFL until we decided we'd all rather see 95 6-yard passes a game.
Yeah. They're not doing that. But I don't foresee this changing things for Russell Wilson. I think that George Pickens will still see an absurd target share, but it won't mean much because 35% target share equals 7 targets in this offense. So it goes.
It could help in that Mike Williams, someone else to occupy defensive attention, not just occupy defensive attention, but do it down the field. Maybe we get slightly cleaner looks, more one-on-one opportunities for George Pickens, but he's uniquely suited to win those opportunities. So maybe it does ever so slightly tick up the passing game volume too, just because the field will be a little less cluttered over the middle now. It is 2 guys you have to actually account for down the field. Right. I could see that it could be the classic 0 impact in fantasy, but more impact in real life than maybe we were.
Yeah, maybe. I will just, while we're just talking about this Steelers offense, George Pickens is a screaming positive regression candidate right now as far as downfield receptions, as far as touchdowns, especially. So I know it's been kind of disappointing, kind of up and down. In 12-team leagues, I think you have to keep him in your lineup going forward because he's due to break out any moment now.
Let's see how many times we've said previously about George Pickens, and every single week of his career.
Every week. But you know what? This week's different.
This week, I do agree. It is different for George Pickens. And George Pickens went into another gear the final 3 or 4 games last season. We've seen that at times again this season. I do think we're probably going to get the best sustained stretch of George Pickens' career that we've ever seen in the second half of the season. So I actually am optimistic about George Pickens. Denny, first off, where's your God now? And how optimistic are we about Patrick Mahomes being back? He got a real receiver one time ever and immediately has his first 3-touchdown game in over a year. Immediately almost gets 300 yards. Immediately converts every single third down against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Second game for Nuke in a Chiefs uniform. 8 catches, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2 questions here, but we'll start with how back is Patrick Mahomes II?
How down bad am I? Is that what you're asking?
How in ruins is Denny Carter? Or let's see. Well, let's see how Pat Mahomes did even when they were bad, and he went 7-0.
Oh, okay.
So, yep.
I keep forgetting that. You need to remind me of that more. They're 7. What are they, 8-0 now?
They didn't lose a game. Yeah, now they're 8-0.
They're going to go undefeated, obviously, with Mahomes throwing 12 touchdowns on the year. I mentioned Patrick Mahomes in the regression files last week, just for the record. Okay, I'm not that much of a hater. He was clearly due for a touchdown regression. He threw for 3 against the horrible Bucs secondary, I must say. On Monday night. This was the 3rd time on the season. He went for over 260 passing yards. Not that many, I would say. The Chiefs were at 0% drop back rate over expected versus the Bucs. They're now 2% under their expected drop back rate. Just as a reminder, in 2023, at this point in the season, they were 10% over. So 2% under now. They were 10% over. So this is a very different sort of Kansas City offense. Unfortunately, as you know, Pat, the Chiefs defense is quite good.
I know.
They're allowing the 10th lowest EPA per play, the 4th lowest rushing success rate. They're just crushing opposing rush attacks, and they're forcing teams to throw into the teeth of a pretty good secondary. So I feel like it's not going to really change for Mahomes because this defense just won't allow him to reach a ceiling. It's the ultimate Super Bowl winning formula where you have an elite defense and you have a quarterback where you can trust to do literally anything on 3rd down. But it just is the fantasy killer. Because we see it over and over again. Man, dude, what are the Chiefs doing? Please just you can throw the ball more. You've got Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. But they just don't need to. And there's we'll handle it, bro. Don't worry. 3rd down. It doesn't matter if it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 9. He will just easily convert it. And that's what he does every single 3rd down. It's honestly uncanny. He's just so much better than anyone else, Denny. Sorry, what were you going to say? He's also never hurt. He's
like LeBron or Tom Brady in that regard, where he cannot get injured.
That ankle weirdness last night against Tampa, what was that? The guy, I was like, oh, broken ankle, he's done. He's finished for the year. And 2 seconds later, he's fine.
It was the classic. As someone who's unfortunately, one area where I can actually relate to pro athlete, I've injured my ankles so many times. They roll easily. They said he had an ankle sprain coming into the game. Yeah. And it's just clearly he did not land perfectly and just re-rolled it. And but a classic, you can walk it off after about 2 or 3 minutes, which is what he did. And he's like LeBron, dude, or Tom Brady. This is the time.
They're never hurt.
Ever. Even when he dislocated his kneecap, I think he missed 2 games. Pat Mahomes, though, I have not worked on my Week 10 rankings very hard yet. I did my initial run through of the quarterbacks, though. It could change really easily. I had him as QB 14, which it's because they're playing the Broncos this week, though. I would add him higher. When I say Patrick Mahomes in general, do you think QB what right now?
I think QB Superflex. I don't think that you have to start him in a 12-team league, in a 1-quarterback 12-team league.
I honestly see where you're coming from with that, but things have just gotten so weird where this is the competition on a weekly basis. It's Kirk Cousins, which you'll usually have ahead of Pat, I guess, but now it's Stafford. It's Goff, who's never throwing. When he does throw, it's good. Sam Darnold, who's regressing hard. It's Tua, who's basically the worst version of Mahomes. It's Justin Herbert who's coming on, but still not elite. But I think he's more in the back end QB1 rankings than people probably realize.
Maybe
there's just not that much. Baker Mayfield was a guy who was stealing a slot earlier, but now he can't because everyone's hurt. Yeah. CJ Stroud can't steal a slot right now.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I would start Mahomes over Mayfield. I would start him over Stroud. I feel like Stroud's almost useless at this point.
He is. Clearly you're ultimate hater of the year for Caleb Williams. You're starting Mahomes over Caleb Williams every week, right?
Oh, 100%. Oh man. Oh, this is going to be the Cope Bowl for Bears fans this week with taking on Drake May. after losing to Jaden Daniels. Oh man, the Patriots are going to beat the Bears. I'm sorry.
No, man, he's way better than Drake May. Like not even close.
I mean, he's cool. Like he makes cool plays, but he's not good.
He is good, dude. I'm telling you, it's Eberflus. I hate to like be like the excuse maker. Every week, Eberflus, I see like a Pro Football Talk article like Bears players unclear on what Eberflus does. Like, oh, that sounds bad for Eberflus. Like, Bears players plead with Eberflus to quote do one thing.
Right. Wow. Clarify why you're here.
Yeah. It's over for that guy, man.
Oh, it's so over. It doesn't. He could get another glow up, another makeover.
I put that in my article actually. Like, dude needs to like glow up like ASAP.
Yeah,
like,
no, right.
The jacket is not leather enough, man. You need it to be even more leather somehow.
He might have to go to the leather pants.
Yeah,
honestly, some leather pants. I mean, he would need to lose maybe another like 15 pounds. Not calling him overweight, but like like really trimmed down. Like maybe get like a hair situation going on. Grow some like really cool facial hair. I don't know.
It's got to be cooler. The facial hair's got to be.
You're gonna have to get a lot cooler if you want to keep this job, buddy.
The real PFT headline I was riffing on. This is real. This actually is real. I'm not kidding. It's what Florio took great joy in writing this one. By the way, DJ Moore walked off the field during a play, and Matt Eberflus isn't sure why. When things are going great.
Oh my gosh. DJ Moore does not want to be around anymore.
No. Our guy just walked off the field during a play.
He wants out so badly. And that's saying something because I feel like DJ Moore is not your typical receiver who doesn't care about team, doesn't care about anything except for his targets. Like Moore seems like a decent dude who's like in it to win it for the team. And even he's literally walking off the field during plays because he's like, I'm sick of this stuff.
I mean, he like tweaked something. He came in like one play later. He wasn't hurt.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. Just walked off the field.
You know what I think he saw? Because that was a play where Caleb scrambled for like, what, 20, 25 seconds?
It was a lot. It was 25 seconds to be the longest play in NFL history, but he was like 10.
10. Okay, really long time. And I feel like that was clear that was going to happen. And DJ Moore was like, I'm not doing this again. Like I'm not watching this stuff again. The ball's not coming to me anyway. No, I'm going to go over here and get some Gatorade.
He made a spur of the moment decision and they didn't punish him for it at all. So
it's a good franchise and a good team.
He called Eberflus's bluff. So the Chiefs are calling your bluff. How high for DeAndre Hopkins after the 8 for 86-2 performance? DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver _ what, Denny?
I think top 20.
I think so too. I mean,
going forward, especially with all the receiver injuries that have me just coping and crying constantly.
It's insane.
I hate it. Yeah. So obviously the 2 touchdowns, pretty fluky, but Hopkins has the role that we were hoping he would have, which is the Rashee Rice role, briefly known as the Juju Smith-Schuster role. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying, are the touchdowns actually fluky? Because we know that I think it was fluky that the Chiefs weren't throwing in the red zone this year. We kind of know that's what they love to do. Like their goal line back is kind of Patrick Mahomes, just throwing darts, and they didn't have the guys to do that. So I don't know if the touchdowns are even that fluky.
I guess all touchdowns are fluky in some regard, but he was targeted. Hopkins was targeted on 26% of his routes in Week 9, which is pretty strong. He was targeted on 24% of his routes in Week 8. Even though that was like very limited usage because he was just kind of breaking in with the offense. I think he's clearly the number 2 pass catcher behind Travis Kelce, who is the biggest scam alive right now. And great. I mean, I love
to be a Hall of Fame scam. Yeah.
I mean, truly like give me 14 of the most useless catches ever, every single game.
Well,
I mean, they're basically like running plays.
Well, I mean, that's how whatever works.
Yeah. No, I get it. They're 8-0. Keep crying. I get it.
8-0, quote, haven't lost a Super Bowl since like 2021.
I know. And probably should have like 4 to 5 straight now.
We'll see here squinting. We'll easily win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's nobody that can beat them, obviously. The Ravens will lose 35-0.
Stop. Yeah, I mean, the Bills. The 49ers.
Yeah, right. Come on, please.
I know. Even like Kyle Shanahan would involuntarily snort if he heard that. Like, oh, bro, come on.
Shanahan, if they meet again in the Super Bowl, Shanahan might just play his backups. Like I'm not even gonna try. This is just humiliating at this point.
No, the only, I hate to admit it, the only Chiefs killer out there, you know who it is.
No.
It's our Detroit Motor City Lions, man. They're the only team that believes. They're the only team kind of doing what the Chiefs are doing, where they're playing really like good situational defense, like totally absurd elite situational offense. Like the Lions are like the one team I think could actually really do it.
They're playing. The Lions are playing really perfect 2020s football.
They are. Yeah, they really are.
Which is good defense, asking your quarterback to do nothing, running the ball when you can.
The Ravens, it's weird where they finally leveled up to equal the Chiefs in offense, and now like the defense is atrocious.
The defense is so bad. Oh
the Bills, I have more faith in the Bills beating the Chiefs this year than the Ravens, I'll say. Which I hate to say because like Lamar, like for a guy who's already won 2 MVPs, this is easily Lamar's best season. But
no, Lamar is great.
The defense just would not be able to keep the Ravens in a
playoff. I'm sorry, I cannot take seriously the Bills beating the Chiefs ever.
Well, they don't believe either. But
no, and they're bad. Like they're not good.
They're good.
They have Josh Allen and they have nobody else.
I know.
I mean, nobody on offense.
They got
him. Don't talk to Khalil Shakir. Come on, man.
No, not Shakir. I mean, come on.
Who then? James Cook.
They got Amari Cooper, who's off to a really good start.
Amari Cooper was good in 2018.
Oh, stop it. The Lions are the Chiefs killer.
Yeah.
A week real quick to try to get us back on track. DeAndre Hopkins, this is not this week. In a vacuum, DeAndre Hopkins or Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Oh, Hopkins.
I know. Yeah, let's try to find an actual hard one.
Well, I mean, okay. I shouldn't be so quick, but I'll say
no, you should. Yeah,
I'll say it slower. Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins or our guy Devontae Adams?
That's a kind of a tough one. I guess
I think Nuke. Just because he's like Devontae, but without competition is kind of high. But at least in the receiver more.
Also, I have to say, just from a game watching, when I do occasionally watch the games, I feel like having a guy. I have 2 guys with such incredible situational and on-field awareness is a really good combination. Like Mahomes has the greatest on-field awareness of anybody ever. Hopkins has unbelievable on-field awareness.
Well, and so does Kelsey. So that's actually like a triumvirate of like dudes who are just like you might not even. Whereas like Kyle Shannon's like, if you don't do all 18 bullet points of this play, we are bleeped. All right, we get it. Where Andy Reid is like one of the best play designers ever. Is like, I don't know, just have like Nuke and Travis run around.
Right, just go out.
Yeah, just go run around.
Yeah, go. I mean, yeah, Hopkins. I
think we can't lose this game. I mean, who cares?
Right.
Like,
we could try if you want, but we're not gonna lose. They've been trying to lose for weeks. Hopkins just knows like where to be. Has a great feel for the game, and I had forgotten that because it's been a long time since Hopkins was relevant.
His one thing is this: he can't stay healthy. So we'll see what happens to DeAndre. He cannot stay healthy at this stage of his career. The one thing to really give me pause on DeAndre Hopkins, a lot to give me pause on the Bucs. Denny, and is the backfield is kind of becoming useless for fantasy purposes. Monday night they get a bit of a pass because, like you point out, it's very difficult to run into the teeth of that Chiefs defense. But it's also a little strong to call it a 3-man committee. But it's a 2-man committee where a third guy plays sometimes. And is it just becoming too difficult to rely on Bucky Irving and Rashad White as flex play? Again, they're going to be in the flex ranks a lot of weeks. But in terms of like ideal flex plays, like are they guys who kind of should be looking to tie break against at this point? Or do you think maybe they'll regress back to their mean of being like lower end RB2s, high end flex?
Yeah, I mean, Monday night was rough for many reasons. And, primarily because like Rashad White only ran a route on 47% of the team's dropbacks. That's terrible because Bucky Irving was at 27% and Sean Tucker ran a few routes as well. So that role being split up is a killer for everyone because this is a very pass heavy Tampa team. They rank 3rd in pass rate over expected on the season. Pretty much every week they're over their expected pass rate. The rushing is split up. I think we took that, we just assumed that going forward, but I thought that Rashad White would get a larger share of this pass catching role and he just doesn't have it. So even if Baker just continues the check down scams to Otten and the running backs, it's so split up that really,
if quote unquote,
yeah,
win,
I mean, they
win,
will,
win,
obviously.
win.
So what else do they have? And you know, I don't know if White or Irving can get there without a touchdown. You know, basically.
Not without a touchdown is probably the key there. Anything going on? Speaking of the scam, by the way, real quick, with these Bucs pass catchers, or is this kind of like a weekly like battle royale? Or Kate Otten on top of the pyramid, Kate Otten like a top 6, pretty clear 6 or 7 tight end. Maybe could even end up top 4 or 5.
Oh,
we're like 8 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. It feels like preordained. Basically, you might not get more than that.
Well.
But anything interesting going on with the Bucs pass catchers right now?
All right. So who are we starting a tight end over Otten on a weekly basis? We're starting, I guess, McBride.
There's 3 for sure: Kelsey, McBride, and
Kittle.
The guy Kittle, yeah, Kittle.
But beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean Ingram is not guaranteed, and Njoku is definitely not guaranteed. It really the only other one who's like guaranteed in theory would be Bowers, but the quarterback situation is horrendous. They're on bye. They're clearly this OC firing is about one thing only. Antonio Pierce must be just going nuts. Like we have to run the ball more. We got to run the ball more, and he's dead wrong about that, of course.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I guess there's only those 3 guys who are like truly ahead of Kate Otten on a weekly basis.
You know, the Raiders promoted Scott Turner to OC and hired Norval Turner to come in and be the assistant. Maybe they like Brock Bowers a lot, and it'll change things for him going forward. But Otten, to me, is a guy you just have to figure out how to get into your lineup. Anyway, I'll get into the receivers real quick.
Real quick, they can still make Norv Turner the actual OC if they have the courage. If you're going to do Scott, just have Norv call the plays, man. Like, stop. Yeah. Just go all the way, dude. Like, there's no point in doing the fake Turner thing. Dude, you got Norv right there. Just have Norv do it. I digress.
72 years old. Norv Turner. Raheem Jarrett led all receivers for Tampa in pass routes against the Chiefs. Saw one target, caught that target for 9 yards or whatever. I mean, you know, I'm just saying. Sterling Shepard caught 4 or 5 targets for 48 yards, but his route rate wasn't so great. Ryan Miller and Trey Palmer mixed in. I don't really know beyond that. I mean, I guess it's just Shepard really is the only fantasy relevant receiver for Tampa.
And Kate Otten, we trust, who I just acquired in our Dynasty League. 14-teamer, industry friend, desperately needed a quarterback, like really desperately. And he had Kyle Pitts, and I forget who. He had 2 other like pretty good tight ends. And I was like, dude, like I know it's like you're losing this deal, but I will trade you Baker Mayfield for Kate Otten because I really needed a tight end and he really needed a quarterback. Hey. And then he said, "Scared money don't make money."
You got Gronk Otten.
I did. I got baby Gronk Otten. I got a real quick break, Denny, that I got to take. And then we'll be right back after this. Just 4 drivers remain, and they head to the desert to determine who will be crowned champion. It's the NASCAR Championship in Phoenix, Arizona, with coverage beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern on NBC and Peacock this weekend. What day is that? Saturday or Sunday? Denny, you're off screen. Denny, be professional. Denny, be professional. We're watching NASCAR on Sunday, by the way, at 3 p.m. Eastern on NBC and Peacock. Cool setting for racing the cars. Denny, did your computer fall or something? What's going on here? Is there an earthquake in Maryland?
Hang on 1 second here. My computer is my charger is stuck, and I need to get it out of the chair. Hold on a second.
So Denny has been smited by God. And they are trying to get his computer back in and charged. Well, we're going to get ready to talk about Thursday night football. Looking ahead to the Bengals at the Ravens, 52.5 total. It used to be commonplace in the NFL of yore in 2019, 2020, back when we actually scored points. It's beautiful to see a 52.5 total, Denny, in 2024 at all. But to see a 52.5 total on Thursday evening, we have never been so back.
As a nation, we are blessed.
We are blessed with a 52.5 game total on Thursday evening, even though it's on Bezos Vision and not NBC. But any hope with that stratospheric game total for a bigger Diontae Johnson outing this week, where he was not targeted in his Ravens debut, which was only 2 days ago, and this will only be 4 days after that. So if he wasn't fully integrated in the offense on Sunday, it's difficult to see what could really change by Thursday, but they didn't really have to pass to beat the Broncos. They had to pass a lot to beat the Bengals earlier this season. Clearly, Vegas, the bookmakers are expecting that kind of game environment again. Does that give us hope for a much more relevant Diontae Johnson stat line this Thursday?
I don't think so. I mean,
Let's move on.
He ran a route on 6 of 22 dropbacks last week against Denver. I mean, we mentioned this last week when the Ravens acquired Diontae Johnson. This team does not use 3 wide receiver sets, right? And so on the season, they use it at a 26% rate, one of the lowest in the NFL. Against Denver, they use 3 receivers on 15% of their offensive snaps.
It was because it was the Broncos. I do think the game is kind of not necessarily instructive.
I don't know, man. I feel like Diontae Johnson is just finished for fantasy.
No way. He's just like going to be like boom bust wide receiver 3 now.
Boom
I think if he hold on, if he had been on the team like 3 or 4 weeks, I'd be like fired up about playing Diontae Johnson in this game. Bengals defense is like the ultimate paper tiger. The Ravens already shredded them once. The Ravens are a shootout team now. Like I think he would have been probably a top 30 guy. It's more just that we have not seen him featured yet. And I don't know if 4 days was enough time to really make a difference. I think he's going to be like matchups based, which is not what you want for like the supposed like targets god. But I think there will be matchups where you'd be very excited about.
I guess. I don't know, man. I just, as a Diontae Johnson drafter in a lot of spots, I was excited for a bunch of just garbage targets from Andy Dalton. And what I got was a guy who is no longer fantasy relevant, I feel. I mean, he's going to struggle to get on the field, like over Bateman and over Flowers. I don't really know unless Flowers or Bateman get injured. I don't really know where the playing time is going to come from.
Yeah, Diontae Johnson, by the way, we were excited about drafting him, was the ultimate, but it might work for us this summer.
I know.
Never worked before, but it might work for us.
It was just a spreadsheet pick.
It was, which the spreadsheets, I'll be honest, we needed more red flags when we got excited about a Bryce Young pick.
Yeah, I know. I went against like my religious belief in drafting a Bryce Young receiver. Like, what was I doing?
I don't know. What are the Bengals doing, making Mike Gesicki the centerpiece of their offense with T. Higgins on the shelf, Denny? I have the splits here. Without T. Higgins in the game this year, 4 games where T has not played, Gesicki has averaged 6 catches for 71 yards on 7 targets in those games. Like, totally bonkers, like high-end, tight end 1 production. Probably a bit of a fluke element there. I mean, he's clearly a big part of this offense when T is injured, especially down the field. Yeah. Tight end 1 this week for Mike Gesicki. T. Higgins is yet to resume practicing.
Right. So I think it does depend on Higgins' availability. I don't think he'll play this week because they play on Thursday.
And he never plays.
And there's also the fact that he still is yet to play in the NFL. Gesicki, I think that it can keep going for this reason. And I wrote up Gesicki in the regression files if folks want to check that out. Because I really want to get under the hood, so to speak, of like what's going on there. So he's not running anything close to a full complement of routes. Okay, this is not a K. Dotton situation where he's getting it done just on like the sheer force of volume, right? They're using him in very specific ways, but he's operating primarily as a team slot receiver. 65% slot route rate over the past 2 weeks. He's being targeted on 30% of his routes with T. Higgins out. That's a lot for a receiver. That's insane. That's like Kelsey-like for a tight end. So that's why I think it can keep going. But as soon as Higgins is back, I think you got to pull the plug.
I really do think it's that simple. Sometimes we can oversimplify things, but I mean, the games where T. Higgins has played, he has 8 total catches in 5 games where T. Higgins has played, Mike Gesicki. Yeah, and again, he's averaging 6 in the 4 where he does not play. So he's almost averaging his non-T total when T does not play. Seems pretty clear cause and effect there. T out, Gesicki good.
Yeah.
T in. I wish I could have thought of a riddle. If it's T, you see. Gesicki, you B being benched.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I don't have enough time to think of the other one, Denny. But Chase Brown, you want to talk about beautiful sights. Zach Moss. It's unfortunate there was a neck injury. Zach Moss out with injury, going to be out for a while, out long enough that they acquired Khalil Herbert. So you're going to have to work that into your answer. But with Zach Moss out, we got high-end RB1 usage for Chase Brown in Week 9. And it's kind of like how high is too high for Chase Brown now, where he's finally taken over the Bengals backfield. Khalil Herbert acquisition gives us a little reason to pause because they must want it to be a two-back backfield. Yeah. But how high is too high for Chase Brown without Zach Moss?
Yeah, so I don't think that the acquisition of Herbert means that they want to make sure that Chase Brown is very limited as far as his touches go. But they do not want this guy getting 32 touches a week like he did last week against the Raiders. 32 touches. And honestly, it wasn't all that great for 32 touches. I mean, it was good, but it was 30. If you had told me Chase Brown gets 32 touches, I'm thinking like 40 fantasy points, whatever. But he did catch a touchdown, sort of saved his day. He was very mediocre on the ground.
Mediocre strong. He was moving the chains. He wasn't doing more than that, but he was moving the chains.
Yeah, and he did. His route participation was pretty good. Ran around on 26 of 42 dropbacks. So that's good. If that holds, then we're talking about Chase Brown as a PPR RB1. I think
it's limited, very limited sample size. He's caught 21 passes, but his yards per catch is almost equal to his yards per carry, which that's always bad. That's very, very, very bad. In general, you want your yards per catch to be almost double your yards per carry.
But I don't know. Is that a function of him? I don't know.
Or the way actually is tough to say.
But it is important, in a massively pass heavy offense, we need the running back to get to be out there catching passes. Because usually the Bengals are not going to be able to establish it like they did against the Raiders.
Chase Brown against the Ravens or David Montgomery against the Houston Texans? Who's in your lineup?
I'd have to go with Brown.
Chase Brown or Aaron Jones? Aaron Jones at Jacksonville, the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm going Aaron Jones, yeah.
All right, yeah. Chase.
Are you not?
I don't know. I actually don't. I haven't done the rankings yet. Probably Chase Brown, to be honest. The volume is totally bonkers.
It is
bonkers stuff. Chase Brown or Alvin Kamara versus the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh yeah, Kamara. Just give me those 8 receptions a game.
Our guy had 215 yards from scrimmage last week. All right, time for another short break. We will be right back after this. It's a showdown in the Lone Star State this Sunday evening. Watch Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions take on C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans as both teams jockey for playoff position down the backstretch of the season. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on NBC and Peacock. Hopefully that's a good game for our brothers and sisters here at NBC because the Texans, man, yikes.
Texans are a tough watch.
They are. Bobby's got to go, man. Bobby's got to go. I don't know what else to say. He's a fraud.
It has reached crisis levels, I feel like, for Slowick.
We get it. The offensive line is bad. Something. I don't. What is the stuff they do? Do a chip or whatever. Something.
I love when fans do that thing with the offensive line. It's look, we are the first team to ever struggle with offensive line injuries.
That was the Browns fans really said this has never happened before. I know it's happened for half the teams in the league this year, but this has never happened before.
There's no blueprint for how to operate with a bad offensive line. Give me a break with the offensive line stuff.
The offensive line is not even real.
Can we just do something? Just something about it. Pass quickly. I don't know.
Pass quickly is what I'd. By the way, the Texans keep an eye on Nico Collins. That would make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Nico Collins could be back this week. AJ Brown, we don't know with the knee injury. Drake London, we don't know with the hip injury. Mark Cooper with the wrist injury. That was a quick PSA I wanted to put in the show sheet about all guys that maybe you wanted us to talk about.
Yeah.
We just don't have enough information on Tuesday to really break down these situations.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have a lot more information on Thursday when Kyle joins us to preview the Week 10 slate. And we can tell you a lot more about Nico, AJB, London, and Amari Cooper. Another guy, we're going to need a little more information, but looks like he's going to make his 2024 debut, is Christian McCaffrey. The German stem cells have finally taken hold in his Achilles tendons, Denny. And is it full steam ahead? Or please do not sue me because that's, to be clear, that's been my own invention, that he went to Germany to get stem cells put into his Achilles tendons. Is it full steam ahead? for Christian McCaffrey in week 10 against I know the 49ers are playing the Bucs.
They play the Bucs. I guess it is. I mean, even if he gets like 15 touches, limited to 15 touches, he can still get there, obviously.
124 yards, 2 touchdowns. Next question.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, Garendo is interesting because the Niners are going to destroy the Bucs. Let's be honest. And
I don't know, man. This is a classic Kyle Shanahan fraud type of game.
No.
Where he plays a vaguely good defense, where like they get like 2 stops. Like, Todd Bowles is like in hell because they've only gotten 2 stops, but Kyle Shanahan gets stopped twice. Like, dude, I don't know what to do. Like we punted twice. Like, it's fine.
Are they even allowed to do this?
Yeah, and he just like melts down because they get 2 stops.
No, okay. But back to reality. Look, the 49ers are going to win by at least 20 here. So I could see that. I could see Garendo.
Hold on. The Bucs literally just went to overtime at Arrowhead Stadium. I'm not just like going to take it for granted the 49ers are going to run them out of the building. So the game's in Tampa, by the way. Kyle Shanahan's like, we've never made a cross country flight before.
Oh yeah, it'll be morning for those West Coasters. That changes everything.
Sorry,
I mean, McCaffrey's still on German time.
I know.
Look, I'm just saying I could see a scenario. We'll see with the reporting over the next 2-3 days with practice participation and this and that. But if McCaffrey is truly like limited in his usage, Garendo I think becomes interesting against a pretty bad rush defense. And Garendo has the juice. Okay, I'm not going to give you the analytics. I'm just going to tell you, Jordan Mason does not have the juice. Garendo does have the juice.
He also doesn't have a shoulder injury, and Jordan Mason has a shoulder injury. We're not entirely even sure of Jordan Mason's availability for week 10. And I totally agree with you. It's not entirely sure who's even going to be the number 2 back, because it might be the classic, like if CMC's hurt, then Jordan Mason does become a bell cow. But when CMC's healthy, who would you rather have changing the pace? Jordan Mason or Isaac Garendo?
Garendo's been very impressive, both as a pass catcher and a runner.
So, yeah, I actually agree with you that it could be Garendo kind of turning into the number 2 back there, but it also could just easily still be Mason, by the way.
It's a hard one to figure out. You're really going to have to read a lot of tea leaves.
And you're going to have to watch the game. Denny's going to have to watch his first ever football game. Jameson Williams is going to have to play his first ever football game back from his latest suspension this week. At least we think he is. I don't know how the Lions are going to greet this. They had already been scaling back his usage before the suspension. Is J-Mo just kind of like on probation this week for fantasy managers? I mean, not going to rank higher than a wide receiver 4. Is he some guy we're not looking to get into our lineups? We give him a caution week, Denny.
So I would say if you're able to do that, then that's really good for you. Now, for me, I have to say that in a 14-team league where I have him, I am going to be playing him, and very happily, because of bye weeks. And bye weeks have decimated my roster to the point of hardly being able to piece together a full lineup. So in that case, I think you have to go with it, and hope that the team doesn't institute some sort of in-game punishment where they're like, the cameras are panning on Jameson Williams sitting on the bench by himself in the second quarter. Like, wonder if he's going to get in the game today, Joe.
To be frank, I think they need to.
Well, I mean, sure, I do too, but I don't want that to happen.
It was like, this one's bad because there's like a betrayal of trust, because we know like all summer, like Dan Campbell was talking about J-Mo like he was his son. We're so happy.
I know.
He's made like he's a different player this year, and he gets suspended.
I know, but from week 1 to week 6, Jameson Williams led the Lions in air yards by a comfortable margin. He was second on the team with a 20% target share. If that like instantly carries over to his return, he could be interesting, I guess.
So J-Mo, yeah. Well, I'll have him probably in the wide receiver 4 ranks. Joe Flacco, 1 game back under center. It was a nightmare. It was Brian Flores. I honestly thought Flacco would do better, because I thought the whole thing with Brian Flores is that he's scrambling like these young quarterbacks' brains. I've never seen a blitz before.
Yeah. And
where like Joe Flacco has seen every blitz you could ever possibly throw at him. And they did that on Sunday, and he couldn't do anything with it. Flacco coaster. We know we're not expecting like week over week consistency, but Did we overstate like how good this was for like Josh Downs, Michael Pittman? Why is he even playing? But yeah, your thoughts on Flacco right now?
I may have overstated the effect on Downs during my Friday live stream, which you can find noon Eastern on the NFL NBC YouTube page. You
may have said put all your money in Downs and Flacco.
I did. Not in Flacco, but I recommended Downs over some pretty good fantasy options.
Downs coin is what
Downs coin is Downs bad, unfortunately, and I am now broke. So
that's a shame.
Yeah, but I think usually I think Downs will be able to get there, but obviously there is downside. I do like how the argument now is that Anthony Richardson is good. Now that
I know, I mean, give me a break. A lot of like our very close industry friends, like tweeting on Sunday night. Look, I was told. I was told.
That's not serious.
Good. No, like, dude, this is nothing. I think people are misreading the situation. Where this had nothing to do with Joe Flacco or trying to make like a quixotic like playoff. That might be a side benefit. Like maybe we'll accidentally get in the playoffs. I think it was they were no longer happy with their young quarterback and what he was doing, and they thought he needed a reset before like habits got worse or like confidence got too low. I don't think the Flacco ball has anything to really do with Flacco. It has everything to do with Richardson.
I will say Flacco was uncharacteristically, disastrously inaccurate here in Week 9. Only C.J. Stroud and Cooper Rush had a lower completion rate over expected in Week 9, and that is not normal for Flacco.
No, so that is – for now, I'm chalking it up to the Flacco coaster and a really bad matchup. I mean, the Vikings have taken on a little water of late, but they've still been one of the 3 or 4 best defenses in the NFL all year. Seems like Will Levis has been on the Russell Wilson rehabilitation program. Like I just think he needs another week. I just think he needs another week to get healthy. That shoulder just didn't look quite right on Friday. 98% of the way there, but we want that final 2%. It seems like he's finally probably going to come back. Yeah. Does that immediately kill the percolating situation we had with Calvin Ridley looking like a wide receiver 2 again? They're playing the Chargers in LA.
I wanted to say yes because I guess I'm a Levis hater now. But I will say no. I will say I think that the Ridley scam can keep going here because, you look at the season-long stats. Levis, you're going to hate this and you're going to dismiss all analytics after
That's all right.
this. But
it's all right. Got
some Levis
making me anti-analytics right now, Denny.
Yeah, no, you're going to be a total caveman after I read you this. But Will Levis 10th best completion rate over expected on the season.
All right. Yeah. Okay. That's a lot worse than I was expecting. Time to throw your computer in the trash.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And
it's time to go to one of the Spirit Halloween dumpsters behind Denny's house and instantly put your computer in.
And those things are full, let me tell you, and they stink. Mason Rudolph 27th in completion rate over expected. So Levis is a more accurate passer. They have basically the same air yards per attempt, Rudolph and Levis. And Ridley has a 35% target share since DeAndre Hopkins left Tennessee. That's the second highest target share among all wideouts in the NFL over those 2 weeks. And Ridley's ADOT and his slot usage haven't changed. So I feel like it can keep going no matter who is in there. Now, will Levis make horrific decisions and stuff that is not really caught by the computer? Of course.
So the Spirit Halloween dumpsters behind your house, are they just full of demonic goat masks?
Yes.
I was hoping you'd laugh at that.
They are. And other costumes. There are 4,000 ghost face costumes right behind my house now.
And there's 4,000. I was trying to think of a good joke. I was just saying, no, never mind. I'll move on instead of making that joke. Spirit Halloween, Denny's Yard. Next topic is any effects of these Saints and Raiders coaching shakeups. Raiders on bye this week. My theory is that it's all about got to run the ball more. The Saints, I don't know, man. I mean,
my only thought with the Raiders is that, like I said earlier, that they're going to be like, look, we gotta just feature Brock Bowers. And so I really would not put that out of the realm of possibilities. Bowers has been very efficient, but really just hasn't been a priority for some reason in this offense. He's getting open. I think that maybe they'll just start force feeding him and Jacoby Myers to a slightly lesser extent. So there's some hope there, I think, for Bowers. As for the Saints, Olave is going to miss time with the brain injury. I don't even know what that leaves. I guess that, honestly, that just leaves Taysom Hill and Kamara.
It really does. Denny, I don't remember if we talked about this in the show yet, or if anyone really had an explanation. Did we ever get an explanation for what happened? Why for 2 games? Was it just seriously about the opponents? But didn't you say they stopped doing stuff like immediately that worked in those 2 games? Like, how did they score 91 points in 2 games with all like these new bells and whistles, and it just never ever came back, not even once?
So here's what happened. Not an exaggeration. They abandoned both pre-snap motion and play action as soon as they got down, as soon as they lost the lead. So they had big leads in week 1 and week 2, and they were using all the fancy stuff, and it was working, kept working. And obviously that was going to regress. You can't keep that up. Rashid Shaheed's presence in the lineup made a big difference.
He's one of the ultimate like Shanahan players. Yeah, we're like, he's a great role player. And
Shaheed is a too high safety killer. He's a guy who can literally just run past the safeties and be like, hey, I'm open. And they don't have that. Don't have anybody like that anymore. Olave is certainly not that. So they gave up. They gave up on all the fancy, cool stuff that we were giving them credit for as soon as they faced a deficit, and it all went downhill. And they lost some offensive line. I know Saints fans are going to be, the offensive line. Well, okay. All right, there you go.
But I don't know. Has there ever been like a more startling about face in recent NFL history?
It's crazy because I would say after week 2, you were like, oh, this Kubiak kid is going to be a head coach next year.
I don't know.
Now you got to wonder if he'll work in the league.
Yeah, Kubiak, he's looking very powerfully into like, listen, it's a car dealership, but it's a nice car dealership, right? Like it's gonna be like Subaru or something with like high markups, and
they'll have good coffee in the dealership.
They will. It's not a Keurig. They actually brew coffee. Which is talk about that, by the way. The Keurig, like throw your Keurigs away. I'm sorry.
Please
throw them away. Brew coffee.
I don't want that stuff. Come on.
Do you think brewing coffee's hard at all? Keurig's the classic. Oh, it's so hard to brew coffee. It's so hard to dump water into the basin and press a button.
I'd rather pay 40 times the amount of money so that I don't have to brew coffee. I went to a Sheetz the other day. I went to Pittsburgh for the weekend, and I stopped at a Sheetz, and I have to like program a machine to give me coffee.
Just put the coffee in the cup, man.
I know we sound like we're 100 years old, but can I please just grab a pot of coffee and pour it into a cup? I'm capable of doing that. I can do it. Okay. I don't need to be a data scientist, to have to get a cup of coffee at a Sheetz.
No. Real quick, Cam Akers, new number 2 running back in Minnesota.
It looks like it. Ty Chandler's season is completely over.
Yeah, man, that one hurts.
It does.
He was one of the chosen ones.
It does. I have him on every team.
I have him on like several dynasty teams. He was one of the chosen ones.
It's over. Oof.
I know. It's rough stuff. Well, the show's over.
Yeah.
So nevertheless, really good stuff from Denny. Really good stuff in those regression files that are live on the site. My rankings will be live Thursday morning. Denny has his chat at noon on Friday. Kyle and I had our chat Monday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's waivers theme, but it's evergreen for the whole week. Talk about a lot of the week's hottest button players, so you can check that out. And yeah, just keep it locked to Rotoworld.com. A lot of injuries this week. So for Denny Carter, I'm Patrick Daugherty. Thank you for listening. We will be back on Thursday with our friend Kyle.